Welcome, fight fans,
to the Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast.
Your Fight Talk Authority.
Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard ORTIZ.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys
Kick-Ass Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host of the Fighters Voice Kick-Ass Podcast, Richard ORTIZ, along with my co-host with the most, the UFC veteran himself, the Apache Kid, Mr. Cole Escovedo. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, how's it going, my man? Ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you this evening by popular demand. Actually, I'm going to give my buddy a shout-out, Kilo the Kid Madera from Stockton, California. He said, you got to get Ernesto on. I want to hear him roll that tongue. We need someone bilingual. We need someone that looks like us on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this guy is not only a mentor, but he's a living legend, a bilingual commentator who can interview a fighter in 2 different languages. And then little did you know, he can still kick your ass, because I didn't know this man had a MMA background, a karate background. And now he's running his own platform. Cole, you just don't play boxing. You can play basketball. You can play hopscotch. You can play volleyball. You can even play around with your girlfriend or your buddies, but you cannot play boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, Ernesto Amador. Welcome to the show, Ernesto.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk with my dearest friends, Richard ORTIZ. Cole, it's a pleasure to have a conversation with you as well. And I'm very excited to share because, like Kilo the Kid Madera mentioned, yeah, I speak Spanglish, you know what I mean? And I agree with you. Se puede jugar fútbol, béisbol, básquetbol, ping pong, canicas, esa la Barbie, pero no puedes jugar boxeo.
Eso, there you go right there. He actually commentated. He said, Richard, you got to have this guy, because we were talking about launching the Fighters Voice Espanol. And, we had a conversation before. And my man, to have you behind the mic on that, I mean, sky's the limit. I know you have your platform, but we welcome you. That position's yours if and when you're ready to accept that, Ernesto.
Well, just call me a frog and then I jump.
there you go.
You know what I mean, right? En español, dime rana y yo salto.
That's it.
Hey, let me tell you something. Go LA all day. Dodgers, baby.
Oh, yes, we finally did it. Yes, sir.
LA all day. I was waiting since Fernando Valenzuela, I think so.
Yeah, that's a legend, man.
That's a legend. And, 1981, I fell in love with these beautiful Dodgers. Tom Lasorda, Pedro Guerrero, of course, Garvey, Rick Monday, and, of course, our Mexican Fernando Valenzuela. It's great to see your hat. I have one, too.
Oh, there you go. And speaking of that and gear, Cole, look at the sign right there, man. I mean, the man has some gear. He has some hats and he has some T-shirts. And I was telling him, man, we're going to have to order some and support that, man, because they're really flashy. They look nice, man.
They are coming, Cole. Just give me your size. And, of course, my friend Richard, send me a text with your size and don't worry about it. I'm so excited because I was remembering with my lovely wife that I met you like 20 years ago, my friend. I remember with Israel Vasquez, one of the legendary fighters that we have in Mexico. And let me tell you something, and it's not because you invite me. It's not because I'm here. I respect you because you respect boxing, you respect sport, and most of all, you are a gentleman. So the first time that I met my friend Richard, I say, oh my God, this gentleman is gonna make it because you have this passion for the sport, and I respect that. And from the bottom of my heart, I love you, my friend.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that. And it's an honor meeting you too. And just the friendship growing in the respect. And little do you know, I watch Ernesto and I learn. I learn the things to do and the things to avoid and how you handle yourself in certain situations. Like I said, I've shared it with you and I've been watching you and how you conduct yourself, both you and your wife. I mean, Cole, if you don't know, we're talking about a guy who's been on TV interviewing people from soccer to boxing. And yet now he's doing his own platform independently. You want to tell us how you made that transition and why you decided to run with your platform, Ernesto?
Of course, I can share this with you from the bottom of my heart. Like, you know me, I'm the guy who say the things like no matter what, because I truly believe, and if you are open people, then things are doing good. Let me tell you something. I used to work for 20-something years in Mexico, Televisa, Grupo Formula, here in USA, Gold TV, ESPN, Univision, Fox as well. But, I'm not saying that it's only in TV, but there is a lot of bad people out there. And I respect myself, first of all. And I truly believe that this is not a thing that I have. This is from God. This is a gift. And I want to use it in good ways. So I decide to go and follow my own path, my own dreams. And La Raza is responding very good. I have like 2.5 years doing this, Richard the Story. And I mean, it's a blessing to wake up every day in the morning, like around 6, and then I finish at 11. I don't care, but I'm given some things that La Raza needs. There is a new way to have a conversation with your people. It's not the fancy stuff, the tie, you know what I mean, right? The makeup. Come on, forget about it. Let's be organic.
Exactly, Cohen, and you could agree on that. I mean, you've always come at everybody as straight shooter in real, whether they had a suit and a tie, a baseball cap, and you've always treated people with respect. So you could concur with Ernesto on his statement.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. It gives you, if you come at people with a level playing field of assumption of just because of what they're wearing, that's a uneven playing field. You're basing it on an assumption. But yeah, you try to do. I mean, if you do that, you'll have better results. You have more positive results. If you come at somebody like addressing them just based on how they're dressed, like that's a silly way to end up like regretful real fast. At least and not in my personal experience because I don't do that, but I've seen it happen where like seconds later they're like, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that." It's like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Ernesto, I remember, and I'm going to take us back when we were, I believe we were at Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. And I'm talking about, and I appreciate their hustle, and I'm talking about the youngsters out there with their media outlet and their platforms. I strongly suggest, and this is my message to them, I hope they excel, I hope they make it, but in doing so, they need to respect the forefathers who opened the doors, the first guys behind the microphone. There was a gentleman there, and you let him know, hey, it's all about respect. There's a lot of media there. And, having some courtesy. We don't ask 10 questions when there's a lot of media there. And I believe he tried to cut in front of you or something. He had no clue who you were. And I wanted to tell him myself, but you stepped up and you had to let him know, hey, my man, that's fine. I get it, but it's all about respect.
Well, definitely it's so sad to mention this because I 100% agree with you. You need to respect not only the commentators, but the fighters, because they're about to fight. And these guys, like, sorry, I can say like a little bad words here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Kick-Ass Podcast for a reason. Okay,
they don't know a shit, and they don't give a shit about respect. They start doing like 20 questions, and that I count every fucking question. 20 questions. Come on, what? It's not a documentary stuff. You need to ask 3 times, 3 questions, and then next one. And this is about respect. But these guys, to be honest, they don't know how to produce. They believe that if they mention something crazy, they're going to be famous. It's not about me. It's not about you, Richard. It's not about you, Cole. Well, when you used to fight, of course, it was about you, Cole. But now it's about the athlete. You know what I mean? That's the guy who's going to fight, not the guy who's asking the questions. And by the way, sometimes very stupid questions.
Exactly. And you know what that does, Cole? And you already know. We're all waiting in line. I'll give an example. This guy asks a bonehead question, and whoever his PR is there, he shuts it down and says, no more questions. He messes it up for everybody. And now the athlete doesn't trust anybody. I mean, he's defensive now. Or, I've been in situations, KP can tell you, a lot of people will say, hey, Richard, I like that interview or what have you. And I tell people, what you don't see on there is the 50 people that are also waiting in line. that are taking pictures and doing something, and I'll address them. I'll say, hey, I know we got a lot of media out here. One last question, and I'll do so because I can keep going and be an a-hole, but I wasn't built that way. And watching you, the way you conduct yourself, and sometimes Ernesto, when you're interviewing a fighter, he's so engaged with you. You're carrying him wherever you want, and I know you can just take him wherever you want, but you still have respect and courtesy for the rest of the press, and that's something I admire about you the most.
Let me share this with you guys and all the people that are watching this beautiful show. I don't go to any place if I don't study very well, and I try to ask in different way. You know what I mean? Because it's always the same. How was the camp? What about their opponent? How do you feel? What about the way in? You know, it's always the same. And I have these conversations because I'm not going to lie. You have some bigger opportunities when you are working for a TV outlet, and then you have more time, whatever. And I know deep inside these fighters, and they are telling me always the same. I'm tired of these motherfuckers. They are asking the same question. Yes. So I appreciate that you say that engage with me, because I try to ask in different way. I try to show the human side in a good way, and I try to use the shoes of the athlete because I used to be one. And most of all, I give 100% respect of everything that this guy do. That's why the name of the show. It means that you can die in the ring. You know what I mean? If you go like to show to the people what is the meaning of the name, you can die in the ring. You know at what time you're going up to the ring, but you don't know if you're coming back.
Yeah, that's true. That's
right?
True.
And it's true. Yeah.
Cole, you've walked into the cage, and there's no guarantees. I mean, you've had your speed bumps in there, but you've also been victorious. And you know, I know how to be in the back of your mind. I mean, you've put people to sleep for a living. I mean, and you're just grateful. I mean, I know you check on them afterwards or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you go in there knowing that, like, I mean, at the end, because you got to remember, at the end of the day, your job walking out is, I mean, it's a very simple one. They want you to hurt him as bad as and fast as possible. That's all they want. It's they didn't pay $75, $150 a ticket to watch you two dance around and play fucking tag. So
yeah,
you go in there with that expectation, but what you have to going is he's thinking the same thing. Like, his goal is not to go in there and spar with you. His goal is to come out there and fuck you up as fast as possible too. So if you go out there thinking, oh, we're gonna spar for a minute, we're gonna feel each other out, like, nah, you're in for a rude awakening. But you go in there knowing that, yeah, you could get hurt. Of course you can get hurt. You know, you can get hurt. This is when, at the end of the day, it's the people that end up not doing it are the ones that see that same light bulb go off and they're like, fuck that. They're the same ones that they see the same light bulb go off that says you can get really hurt, especially if you're about to walk out and they come fucking carting a dude by you on a stretcher from the previous fight. Like, I've seen that more than once, and you're just like, fuck, that's right. You can get really fucked up right now. Okay, yeah. Reality kicks in, and what you're about to do, you're like, that's right. So yeah, you go in there knowing, you don't go in there thinking you're going to, but in the back of your head, you know, dude, you could get dumped on your neck wrong. You just get punched the wrong way. It's, you know, knock on wood, it's a very rare occurrence, and it usually has an underlying pre-existing reason for why it went south. But like, you know that, like, it just takes the wrong punch. To me, it just makes the wrong punch to make you a noodle. Like, it doesn't even have to kill you. It can just fuck your speech up. You drool on yourself for the rest of your life. Like, there's so many bad ways that can go south. So you know that going in, but we would push that out. And Ernesto can attest to that, having been in fights before, knowing that you just kind of subconsciously push it out so that you don't hear that little voice going, hey, you know, he's got a point. You could get really fucked up. So, you know, you got to just kind of knock that guy off your shoulder, because you got the other guy going, let's go, motherfucker. It's payday. Clock in. Let's go. So it's always a constant battle between those two parts of your brain. You just got to, the ones like the Donald Cerrone's, the Clay Guidas, guys like that just go fucking balls for the wall. They're the ones that can shut that part of their brain off entirely. Like, it's not even a whisper. Like, most of it's just a whisper in the back of your head going, you can get fucked up. He just shuts the door. He can't even hear that guy. That dude's just gone. He's in a soundproof room. He's just got the dude next to him on the fucking motocross bike going, wing, 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 let's go, get on, Donald, wing, wing. Like, that's it. It's on his shoulder with it kind of mentality. So you have to know going in, you could get really hurt it's the difference between knowing you can get hurt and being afraid of how bad you can get hurt is what kind of separates those that what you see on the top of the mountain versus those that are always climbing, never quite sure.
Exactly.
And Cole, let me add, sorry, Richard, let me add this, Cole. You know from deep inside that there are some stupid commentators that they never use gloves, not even for cold weather. And it's true. They want to show that they know more about the sport than the fighters. Come on. Come on. You know what I mean, right?
I like what, is it Fox? Is it Fox who uses Cormier and Holloway and Edgar and all those guys? So I like what they do with there, because at least when those guys talk about it, like, at least they know what they're saying. Like, and they've educated the other guys on the staffing there too. So now, like, even they sound more educated when they're trying to keep up with the conversation. So it's like, it's a symbiotic thing. If you get guys that like have never laced up, never bled on a mat, never sweat on a canvas, like, like, what are they doing commentating on a sport that they've never even done? No, same thing though. You get guys that have never thrown a fucking football.
I agree with you.
That are sitting there commentating on football too. So it's not just combat sports. Unfortunately, I think it's like, I wouldn't commentate on NASCAR, and I've driven a stock car. I still wouldn't try to act like I know what I'm talking about. So,
that's my point.
I've taken Petty's driving school, but like, I don't know how to drive NASCAR.
Yeah, Richard, Cole, listen this. There is some Spanish outlets that they have these idiots. Now they are mentioned that Callum Smith is a punching bag. It's not dangerous for Canelo. Come on. You don't know a shit about boxing when you mention that Callum Smith, the world super champion of WBA, is not dangerous for Canelo. If we go for centimeters, Canelo is 173 and Callum Smith is 191. The point is, Richard, Cole, that the people that are in front of these outlets, they are confusing people. Just saying, hey, Callum Smith, come on, it's a piece of cake. No, it's not. No. You know?
Just kind of being on a bandwagon.
I agree with you. And you know, they make statements, and they even got to ask themselves, is that what you want to be? Is that the way you want to conduct yourself? It's disrespectful. It messes it up for the straight shooters like myself and you, Ernesto, that try to bring out the best in the boxers. This platform, The Fighter's Voice, is for the fighter, to uplift them, to give them a platform to speak from the heart. I don't get my camera out and try to catch a fighter drunk or try to catch him doing something he shouldn't. When that happens, he's another human being that needs help. My camera's off. If you're looking for that story, you're looking up the wrong outlet. I'm here to build the fighter as you know it. And a lot of fighters like that, commentators and media outlets, they mess it up for the good guys. They really do, because I understand why fighters say no more interviews or they walk away. I understand it now, because they're tired of the same questions. They're tired of cheap shots, and they're tired of media outlets just trying to make a name for themselves with exposure of trying to expose fighters at their weakness.
Definitely. And it's so sad because let's talk about Canelo.
Yes.
He's going to fight like we mentioned against Callum Smith. Yes. But it's the same. When he's going to fight against Triple G, no. Now Triple G is old. Yeah. Jacobs, no, it's not the same Jacobs, you know. And when it's Kovalev, is a guy who is drinking all day vodka, is not going to make it. Come on. And I open my eyes and I say every day, God, please don't let this guy to speak about boxing, because they are killing boxing. And if we respect our sport, we need to build, not to destroy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Cole could contest it the same way in UFC. I mean, you have certain fighters, and I'll say John Jones. He's running out of excuses and chances, but I mean, we still, as human beings, we give them that opportunity, and we give them the benefit of the doubt. We're not there to kick anybody when they're down. We're there to give them a hand, a microphone, to be positive. And we need more positivity out there, especially with media. Unfortunately, the world loves controversy. These networks love controversy, and they love puppets. They want to tell you in their ear what to say, how to say it, and who to say it to. So I'm glad that we have this independent platform, and we can say and do as we please within our own barriers.
Definitely, definitely, and it's so sad when you mention this because we know for sure, and I used to work like 20-something years in outlets, that they need numbers, they need noise, they don't give a shit about your opinion. You need to bring numbers and like this old phrase, money talks, bullshit walks.
Exactly. Very,
Right?
very well said. Very, very well said. You know, since I got you on the show, man, I want to get your expertise on this, and I want to ask you about some of these fighters that have just they made good of their opportunity, and we're talking about Teofimo Lopez against
Wow.
Lomachenko. I mean, his opportunity was there to shine, and in your opinion, were you shocked by Teofimo's performance, or were you shocked by Lomachenko's performance, or was that decision the way you thought it would go?
Still, I can't believe that Loma do nothing. He lost like around 6 rounds. You know what I mean? Because they don't do nothing. And it's the similar thing of the first Canelo fight against Golovkin. Everybody, I mean, not everybody, but these guys, these haters, they are mentioned before that Triple G is going to kill Canelo in 30 seconds. It's the same with Loma. And I try to tell to the people that we need to be very careful and be aware about what he's doing, Teofimo, because he was the guy who have the eye of the tiger. He was hungry, and it's not the same with Loma. He was really quiet. And let me tell you something. If you put an example, let's say Gervonta Leo, it's the same situation. The biggest guy, of course, Gervonta. And, of course, Teofimo is bigger than Loma. But guess what? I'm not saying that Lomachenko have no balls. Of course, he have balls. He's one of the greatest fighters ever. But Leo showed that if you want something, you need to go for it. And that's the thing that Loma missed that night. I truly believe, and I can tell you from a very close person to the team, that now is regretting that he don't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about the shoulder. It's about, hey, put your heart in the ring. I'm not saying that he's not a warrior, but that night we miss the truly Lomachenko.
I agree with you. I think he started a little too late. In my opinion, he didn't start until 6.5 rounds. He gave 6.5 rounds away until he finally said, okay. You know, and I know exactly. I agree with you. He does have the balls to sit in there in the pocket and exchange. Yeah. That's why he put the gloves on. I just don't agree with that strategy. I believe it backfired. But at the same time, I don't want to take away from Teofimo. I just think us as the fans, we were actually robbed of a classic. And one thing I will add is I don't agree with I agree with the outcome of the scorecards, but I don't agree with a certain score card keeper that had it unanimous and didn't even give Lomachenko a single round. That I don't agree with, and that we as fighters, as human beings, we need to correct that and avoid the black eyes to the sport.
That's the casino.
Yes, exactly.
That's the casino. But let me tell you something. If you go to the other side, we need to recognize Teofimo Lopez, because maybe you remember at that time in Solo Boxeo Tecate, I did the blow by blow of the pro debut of Teofimo, and at that time, and then in so many fights after the pro debut, he was mentioned all day. Loma. He have Loma on in his mind from day one, and then the father, the junior, Nostradamus, if you want to name it, it told me, Ernesto, no one is taking care of us. No one believe in me, and I can tell because I did the interviews, and no one, I mean, the press, remember that, Richard, no one is taking care of, I mean, they say, go fuck yourself, you're Teofimo, come on, you're not going to do nothing. And then guess what? Now he's the number one in 135, is undisputed, no matter what people say, because Mauricio Suleiman, which is the president of the World Boxing Council, he told me, Ernesto,
the green belt,
is franchise champion, so is undisputed. 4 belts, baby.
Can't get any better than that. And we're talking about Cole from day one, his pro debut. Instead of thinking about his next fight or his opponent, he was calling out at that time the pound for pound man. And he said, I'm going to do this to him. I'm going to do that to him. His dad said this is what's going to happen. And everybody was like, yeah, whatever. Didn't even pay attention to him. He got his opportunity, Cole. And as they say, the rest is history.
It's like putting putting a bet on like the Chicago Browns. See, I know crap about football. The Cincinnati Browns to like win the Super Bowl next year.
Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, Cleveland. See, fuck, I don't know shit about sports, dude. I don't know anything about other sports. I'm an idiot. Here's my man card. But it'd be like that. It'd be the equivalent of that. You'd put money down on the Cleveland Browns at the end of the season, and they're going to win the whole thing. Everybody would be like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. No way. And then what they don't know is that like the Browns have like a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh pound pick or something. Like they negotiated all this shit. And so they just picked their whole starting lineup off their first drafts. Now all of a sudden they've got like a powerhouse and they win. People are like, how'd you know? So it's just it's a little bit of insider knowledge, I think, on Teofimo's side. I think they realized people were underestimating him. I think people were like, Theo who? Like they didn't want to he didn't like kiss the right people's ass, maybe that's kind of what it boils down to. He didn't like glad hand the right people. He didn't give kudos to the right people. Instead, he wanted to rely solely on his ability to win fights, you know? And like with Lomachenko, we were talking about, I think their strategy might have been, we're not going to finish him. So let's just try to win the last half of the fight, because that's what we can convince the judges is all that matters. I think they kind of like rolled the dice on that. And like you said, that gamble, the strategy did not pay off. He didn't even get on the gas. And even then when he got on the gas, it looked more of like a, we need to get on the gas kind of thing. Yeah. It wasn't like, okay, time to initiate the plan. It was more of almost like a desperation. Like, you got nothing left to throw at this kid. Fucking go for broke now. You got, we spent 6 rounds trying to figure him out and we can't. Go for broke. Maybe. I don't know. You know?
I agree.
You know, I hope we get to see more great performances from Teofimo, because a lot of times we have a fighter that peaks, and after they peak, that's it. And I'm going to take it back to Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, the first fight, Ernesto.
Yep.
That was the best Riddick Bowe that you would ever see. His conditioning was on hit. His weight was on hit. His performance was on hit. And then afterwards, he started to deteriorate, and all we saw was a shadow of that first night with Evander Holyfield. I hope the better days of Teofimo are still here to come, as opposed to, okay, I left everything there that first night.
You know, it's not a coincidence. This is very different story. And I understand the example that you're putting on the table, but let me tell you something. Teofimo is another beast. He's hungry. He's really young. He have a lot of skills that we never saw in the ring. And we need to give credit to his father, Junior, because they are mentioned, hey, this guy is crazy. They only talk trash. No. Okay, I agree that Junior have only one champion, which is his son. But guess what? I can see the time that so many fighters is going to look for Junior as a trainer. Believe me. Do you know what I mean, right? And then we can see more of Junior, because he made his son and he's a good trainer. And he mentioned to me, he mentioned this, if I fuck Loma, you need to call me the trainer of the year. And guess what? It could be in the conversation of the trainer of the year.
You know, it's funny you say that, because when I interviewed him at the his dad, at the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, and I said, I'm talking to trainer of the year right here. Yeah. And he said, that's right. He goes, if he takes the fight, he goes, that's right. It's what he was telling me. And he was referring to, of course, Lomachenko. Definitely.
And I know this guy since forever. And I have two big issues with these guys. It's not for me, and it's not for Teofimo family. They misunderstand my words. I mentioned, if Teofimo keep training like this, and if he keep the feet on the ground, he's gonna be one of the greatest. And they take it in a bad way, and then we have this argument. But at the end, we are really close friends, and you know that. But I mentioned this from the bottom of my heart. Teofimo can't lose, the feet on the ground. If not, it could be a problem, because he's too young. Now he have a lot of money, and it's good to see this guy make investments in what's the name, in buildings. I say ladrillos in Espanol, you know what I mean? Yeah. But they are investing in buildings, houses, whatever. And it's good to see that.
Yeah. Cole, you've seen fighters change right in front of you, and you've seen fighters that you would think would change, and yet they've been grounded from day one.
It's hard to say. It's kind of like, could take Jones, for example. Jones might not have been what we saw happen to him had he not been as young when he became as successful. Whereas somebody who, if he were maybe a little older, a little more mature and as successful, maybe he doesn't fuck up as bad. So you can see some fighters change, and it's because of what's going on around them and the success they're having. And then you see some that don't. You got to look at, it's hard. It's case to case, fighter to fighter. One fighter may be successful young and fucking be no problem. Another might do it young and end up with 7 DUIs and a coke problem and all kinds of shit. I mean, look at guys that are just blowing it that we don't, want to see. Look at the guy that put the hole in the windshield on that limo, the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. You get guys like that, so it really just depends. Everyone's going to be different. Some guys are quiet. I know guys that never made it to the show because they're too quiet. Good fighters, technical fighters, but at the end of the day, they were just too quiet in both out of the ring and in the ring. And they won fights, but they did it quietly. Like you can't win decision fights in a row and expect to go to the show. You can't be quiet. You can be humble, but when you're doing your post fights and you're doing your interviews, you have to talk. You have to get some information out there, get some content about yourself out there. Otherwise, no one cares interest. If you're just winning fights, it's not enough. Unless you're just knocking motherfuckers out in the first round, and when they ask you for your interview, you're just all next. And then you walk out of the ring. Like if you did that every time, yeah, okay, that's an exception. You're going to be fucking famous no matter what. People aren't even going to give a fuck who you are or what your background is. They're like, dude, this guy knocks people out in the first round. It doesn't say shit. Like they're going to want to know. So unless you're that guy, you have to brand yourself. You have to market. You have to talk. But like I said, it's case to case. Some guys can handle the fame late in life, and that doesn't mean that they can handle it later in life either. Some guys should have done it when they were young. They do it when they're older. They think they know more about life, and all of a sudden they get the success. They're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. You really don't. So you're going to fuck that up. So it's so case to case, man. It's hard. But you can see the warning signs. That's where you should look for is like, what are the warning signs? How is this guy acting post-fight? How is he acting on the weekends? Yeah. Like we got that cat that fucking destroyed his Lambo the weekend after he won that belt. Like that's a red flag. Like that's a red flag. That guy needs to have an intervention. He needs to be talked to. Like no more alcohol for you. You need to slow the fuck down. Like you just became a world champion on this level. Like you're going to fucking kill yourself and you haven't even defended the belt yet. So like someone needs to talk him down a couple notches. That's a red flag. Like that weekend I saw that and I was like, holy shit, who's his management team? They better have him in like AA that week. Like, bro, you got a problem. Maybe not. Maybe it was an isolated incident. Maybe he's just like, dude, I fucked up. Like maybe it's an isolated incident, but maybe not. When you do that and you don't get hurt, because remember, he didn't break any bones. No. You do something like that and you don't get hurt, that's a bad combo, dude. That makes you feel like Superman. Like that's a dangerous thing when you're young and you're powerful and you've got money and you're exciting, you're in a combat sport. Like those very high level alpha male. Count your blessings on those and recognize exactly.
That you're very fortunate just to be alive. And I mean, and he's fighting next month, I mean, after all this time. So he's been very fortunate on that incident. Ernesto, I want to ask you, we have a big unification coming up. The date hasn't been set yet, but promoter Rick Merigan's working on it. He's working his butt off, and we're talking about the WBC, WBO junior welterweight champion, where Jose Ramirez getting ready to take on the IBF WBA junior welterweight champion and Josh Taylor. Do any one of those winners, whoever is victorious, do any one of those winners, they plan on moving up? Do they have an honest shot at we just saw this weekend, pound for pound, one of the best, Bud Crawford?
Well, to be honest, now Terence Crawford is the best in 147, and maybe he could be the number one in pound for pound. And now, to be honest, and I love my dear Jose Carlos Ramirez. Now, today, I don't think he have a big opportunity against Crawford. I truly believe that Jose Carlos needs to unify or try to be the undisputed against Josh Taylor, and then try to make like 2 or 3 defense of his titles. But to be honest, now who can stop Terence Crawford? I truly believe that's the question. I think nobody, not Spencer, not Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, Mikey Garcia. I truly believe that Terence Crawford is the biggest 147 now, by far. And if you ask me for Josh Taylor, no. Even my dear friend Jose Carlos Ramirez is going to be a very, very, very complicated fight for my Mexican American friend.
You know what? I agree with you right now with Bud Crawford. He definitely sent a message. He put the 147 pound division on notice. He, as if to say, "Hey, I'm here. All the questions, all the hype is real. I've answered all the questions with my 2 fists. And if he's not pound for pound, he's definitely a close second. And that, you know, between him and Canelo, they can go back and forth and put up a great argument. And that, I mean, there's no wrong answer when you compare the 2 pound for pound.
But let me tell you this: we start talking about baseball, right?
Yeah.
We need to remember Mariano Rivera, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The best.
Yeah.
If we talk a comparison, okay, Terence Crawford is doing the same with the fighters like Mariano Rivera when he's closing the game.
Absolutely.
You know, I truly believe that Terence Crawford, he was waiting. Kell Brook is doing really good. Like Gamboa, like Indongo, like everybody, even like, I forgot the name, the Iceman. Oh my God. Postol.
Yes.
So,
but even Benavidez put up a good fight against him.
Yeah, but at some point, this guy fix any problem, and then he can kill you. You see what happened? Left shot, and then he go almost out of the ring, and he's Kell Brook, the guy who have the balls to fight against Triple G from 147 till 60. Then he fight against Errol Spence Jr. Yes. The fight finished at 11 round, right? So
yes,
it's made from some other stuff. And let me add this. I don't know if you know these guys, but Terence Crawford have a Latin element. A guy from Guatemala. The name is Isaú Dieguez, and he's a guy who worked with Terence Crawford with the maps, you know? He's from Guatemala.
No, I didn't know that. I just know the transition from to Bomac.
No, it's Isaú Dieguez, and he's very loyal with the team. You know, Terence Crawford, he can have a lot of bad things, but when you talk about the fighter, when you talk about the human being, and when you talk about loyalty, I believe is the same than Canelo. Canelo respect the team as a family. Terence Crawford, the same.
I agree with you. I mean, even after he took that first loss to Floyd Mayweather, a lot of people questioned his corner and what have you, but he's still loyal to his team and his belief. And that's why he's the person who he is. And a matter of fact, I want to give him a big shout out. As you know, that story with the little girl who reached out and said, "Hey, can you sign my
wow."
So I can sell them, so I can pay for my surgery, my doctor bills. And before the day was over, Canelo took care of those hospital bills, made the arrangements, and just took care of that. And we need more people like Canelo, along with Manny Pacquiao, who sits and gives money back to his people in the Philippines in that long line. And we're talking about giving back. And
there's no other like Pacquiao and Canelo.
No, exactly.
There's no other. Hey, my dear friend, I need to run, and I apologize.
No problem.
Like I told you, I have a show at 7, but let's continue this next week on when you need me again. You know, I have this show like since so many months ago, but let me share finally this with you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here, but maybe not too many people knows this. When I decide to quit or leave Univision, I was thinking about to work next to La Raza. That's why I leave all this ego stuff, and then I moved to LA. And like the sun, starting from the bottom, now we're here. And, you know, it's because La Raza, for La Raza, because, you know, I'm one of the most prized Mexicans. I love my blood. I love my flag. I love my colors. And thanks to La Raza, I'm here doing the thing that I love the most, you know, talking about boxing. So thanks again, dear Richard Cole. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And I'm really happy to be here, but I need to run to my show at 7.
Hey, appreciate that, and appreciate your time. And I know you get to talk your sports all day long. You do what you love. You never work a day in your life, Ernesto. It's a pleasure having you, and I'll tag you. We'll make arrangements. Myself and Cole, we'll get you back on and finish our conversation soon. So take care of yourself and appreciate your time, my man.
From 1 to 10, my English.
Oh, shoot. I'm talking 10.5.
Because when I get here, I used to live in Miami, Miami. And then I start in here in LA, try to improve my English in order to communicate better. So you say 10.5?
10.5, my man.
There you go. I
go.
live really happy. And remember, please, se puede jugar fútbol, béisbol, básquetbol, ping pong, canicas y hasta la Barbie, pero no puedes jugar boxeo. And
Ernesto.
thumbs up for Richie.
Yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, Cole, I mean, the man is just full of energy, full of knowledge, and in some sense took us both to college. Because I mean, he's fun to have on. He is fun to have on, and when he's around, you meet him in person, Cole. You just feel his energy, and you vibe off his energy, man.
Yeah, no, he seems like he has a real contagious type energy. Like if he's excited about something, he wants to get you excited about it too, just so you can experience why he's excited about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And speaking of being excited, man, let's talk about Alex Perez, man. I mean, his whole camp, his family, his following. I'm excited. I mean, we have one of our own entering the cage who earned it. It wasn't a last-minute decision, and that's no knockoff against anybody that stepped up to the plate. We appreciate that. But this man, he earned it, stepped up. The numbers were right. He did what he needed to do, and hopefully after Saturday, we're going to hear the words "and new."
Yeah, no, he's definitely put himself in a position to be first on that list. You know what I mean? There's a couple fighters that over the last couple of weeks have been, complaining. I don't know if they're complaining, but they've been voicing their opinions on how they feel they should have been, in line for that next. When Garbrandt got his bicep torn, it basically opened the door for several fighters, and they chose Alex, because Alex, I feel along with it, a lot of other people has deserved it. He's earned it. He's worked his way up. He's fixed any problems he had, any holes in his game. He's worked hard. He's done everything he needs to do. Him and guys like Luke Howell just wrote the blueprint for how to go from amateur in camos to Dana White's contenders. Like that's literally, if you follow his career, you can see that's a path. I was watching Dana White talking about it on the Contenders post-fight conference a little earlier before the show. That's where I saw him go just fucking ape shit up Bob Arum, dude. He got so pissed. But anyway, so they were talking about Alex, and he said, Alex started out, as far as his UFC career was in the Contender Series. Alex started in camo, then he went to Tachi, then he worked his way up to the UFC. Like he went Tachi to UFC, like he earned it. He got his way in there. He went through the Contender Series. He fought his way in. And so to now see him go for a belt, it basically tells guys that are in the Contender Series, and mind you, the guys that are Contender Series, I think are light years ahead of guys we had on like the earlier tough shows. Like as far as young talent coming into the UFC, like it's just night and fucking day. It's
tougher now.
Yeah, it's way it's way tougher. Yeah. And people ask me all the time, Cole, why'd you stop? Because they're fucking monsters. I see 9-year-olds that are just killing each other. So to see him go from all those stages, from camo, like amateur, like where everybody starts out, and to see them go for a title, it's like and it's not even like a Cinderella story. It's not like he just got lucky or like the prince chose him. No, it's he worked his fucking ass off. He put the time in. He put the sweat in. Yeah, he did everything you're supposed to do, man, and he did it right. Like he literally is like a blueprint for how to go from amateur to UFC title holder. Like you look at his career, that's how you fucking do it. But it takes hard fucking work. Thing is, people want to look at the blueprint of the house and they don't want to do everything that's entitled to build the house. They're like, well, I got the blueprint. I'm just going to kind of follow it though for what works for me. No, dude, you got to follow it to a T. So it's really cool. He's from Lemoore. He's fighting out of Oyamas now. It's a great thing to see. It's not, for me, I love that he's a local. Like, I love that. That's great. That's fucking awesome. I love Alex. Great kid here and every fucking thing he gets, But to see what hard work and commitment and ethic and work ethic and all that stuff to the blueprint will get you is what I'm even more excited about. Like, I'm so happy to see somebody that, like, if you put in the hard work, you put in the commitment, the sacrifice, you will reap the rewards. And it's just, there's so many fighters that are so talented. Dude, the guys that are early in their career, they're so talented. They just come in there thinking just because they're talented, that's going to get them like, oh, I should have got this. Like, dude, earn it.
Yeah.
Win some fights. Do it correctly. Get it in there right. And you will. So, but that's kind of what the Contender Series is. So when I heard Dana talk about the Ultimate Fighter coming back, saying that he's going to go from the Contenders, they're going to start filming that soon. Like, that's just, I don't know. I think that's a little oversaturation of the breeding pool, I guess, so to speak, of where you're going to get fighters and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm super stoked for my, like I said, I love that he's local, but I love that he is a perfect example of the work ethic that is required and the commitment that is required to get that fucking gold. Like, just to taste it, just to know that you have a shot at it takes so much. That's why it pisses me off when I see guys like Alex busting their ass, working hard. And then you get guys like Yoel fucking Romero who are on a 2-fight losing streak. Oh, here's your title fight. The fuck? What?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it makes it just that much better to see guys like Alex that have built that work ethic blueprint get that shot, you know, and we'll see what happens. I'm biased, so it's hard for me to pick a winner on that one because I'm automatically going to be fucking #NNew. But, you know, I mean, for me, you know, Figueroa, he's not a slouch. He's the belt holder for a reason. But I think Alex has all the tools and the determination and the want to finish that fight. I don't think it'll be a decision. I think he will finish him, and there will be no doubts, no question. Like, you ain't winning a decision in Brazil anyway, first off. Let's get that, you know, fine and dandy, you know. So he's got an uphill battle as far as that goes, but he's got all the tools to where he doesn't need to worry about that. Like, he's got the ability to finish Figueroa in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth fucking round whenever he wants. It's just a matter of, did Alex go in with the right camp, the right game plan? That's really all it boils down to. He'll execute the game plan, but is it the right game plan? Is it the game plan to beat Figueroa? He's a cerebral fighter, so he can alter it as needed on the fly, but your base game plan is what's going to win you or lose you that fight in camp. So,
well, I want to say this. Forever, his name is going to be brought up here to any young MMA fighter that says, I want to get into UFC. How do I do it? Did you see Alex's career? And what he did was just grind and grind. How do you not follow the blueprint? How do you not follow that? How does that not motivate a young fighter who's not only made it to the big show, but now he's getting the opportunity of a lifetime and is still young in his career? Did everything that was asking him to do. It's
motivational, but it scares a lot of guys. Like, you get so many young fighters that they hear how much is really, like, what did he really have to fucking do to get there? And they're like, they don't want it. They don't fucking want it. They want to get the pats on the backs. They want to get the high fives, the Facebook cheers, the people that go and, you know, show and watch them fight and, you know, tell them how cool they are. It's like, you know, you know, first couple fights, my first fight, almost nobody knew I was going to do it, you know, because I didn't fucking know what was going to happen. Hey, fuck it. So you got to you look for the guys that they want the high fives from the other guys that are better than them on the team. They want the pats on the back from the coach. They don't give a fuck. The guys that don't give a fuck how many people know they're fighting, you know, like, those are the guys that you got to keep your eye on, because those are the guys that their teammates are patting them on the back because they're improving. Their teammates are now worried because they're like, fuck, dude, he's getting better. Like, they start to sweat. So, like, when the good guys on your team, that's why I've always said it. If you're the best guy on your fight team, you're never going to fucking get UFC gold. It just will never happen.
Yeah.
It will never happen. Even the teams like AKA, American Top Team, all those fucking teams, if you're the best guy in your gym and you're not being challenged, you're not going to get the gold. That's why guys like AKA, teams like AKA, they're always turning out champions, because everybody in there is a fucking next beast. You know, and if they're not a beast yet, they're the next beast, and those guys got their fucking hands on them. You know, you take guys like Big Al. He needs to really embrace that offer to go to AKA. He needs to be fucking all over that. So, because at the end of the day, yeah, he can, you know, his coach can be a great coach. His teammates can be great teammates. But if he's the best dude at the gym,
you have to expose yourself to that and dare yourself to be great. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, when iron sharpens iron, it's kicking ass and getting your ass kicked.
Exactly.
It's a little both, and that's learning. You know, and you actually got to learn how to get your ass kicked so you don't get your ass kicked.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, you got to get beat up at the gym by guys better than you, so that when you fight guys on your level, you fucking, as Habib says, smash them. You know, just to smash. So That's what I'm saying. Like if every day you go to training, you think, man, every time I go to training, it's a good day. I'm always kicking ass. I'm fucking badass. Bro, you're never going to win a fucking belt then.
You're not going to grow.
Yeah, you won't grow. You'll never get better. You won't grow. You can either be comfortable or you can grow. You cannot do both.
You'll be a gym legend in your own gym that you're at. And once you step out, then you're threatened and you want to feel threatened. If you don't want to grow, you got to stay there. You're content with that. And you're afraid to expose yourself and dare yourself to be great.
That's it. Expose yourself and dare to be great. You have to expose that there are better fighters than you within your resources to train with. So many guys be like, I don't want to go and get beat up because it makes me feel bad about myself. No. Go get beat up by the fucking Jorge Masvidal, the Khabibs, the DCs, the Josh Thompsons, the Fitches, the Koshtiks. Go get beat up by guys better than you. Go to the gym and you've never been to. Go get beat up. Go roll with go to your local jiu-jitsu school and just roll with any of the fucking young purple and brown belts. Roll with any of the young purple belts. Those guys are fucking monsters. You will feel like you don't even belong in a fight gym anymore. But you will slowly start to get better yourself because if you were already good, they will help make you even better.
Exactly.
That's just all there is to it. Like there's a point where guys are either going to be champions one day or they're not. But there's always going to be the day where they can get better.
Well, there's always the fighters that are they doing the right thing? Are they growing? I mean, we'll get back to Big Al. He mentioned to us that he had that opportunity to grow. Go grab that. I mean, enough said. There's Hall of Famers that are there and legends there. How do you not want to expose yourself and test your talent and learn from it? And I'm sure he's going to make the right decision because, I mean, the man is hungry. It's just a matter of time until he accepts, that invitation and continue to grow. That's great experience for him.
And sometimes people be like, oh, I can't get to that gym.
Oh, dude, you got to get there,
I used to go and sleep on couches.
Do what
I used to
get there.
Yeah, you have to do what you can. And some people are like, oh, I can't afford it. And that's true. Especially in today's day and age, you might not be able to afford to go and sleep on one of the guys' couches for 2 weeks, but when it comes time for your fight camp, like you need to be.
You got to take those opportunities. And I mean, there's been times, I went up there to go cover some events with KP, and we were able to get a room and cover it the next day. But there was days, and he'll tell you, we went to Fox Studios, we shot up there, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and as soon as the press conference was over, we literally got in the car and headed back to Madeira. What are we going to say? No, we can't go, or no, should have, would have, and could have. You got to take that opportunity. Was there stronger, well-known, and more recognized press there? Absolutely. Did that stop KP that when there was other press with bigger high-tech cameras? I mean, no, it didn't. He went out there and rubbed out.
Camera.
No, yeah, exactly. He went out there and beasted out. And KP could contest too. I mean, you got to go out there and let your light shine. It's the opportunity. And we were invited down there from Cali Swanson. So what are we going to do? Oh, no, we're not going to go? No, absolutely. We made it. We made
the last opportunity
and headed up there, man. Oh, yeah, that's career suicide. You got to take that opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see these young guys that are like, oh, I can't take this fight, that fight. Even if it's not the UFC, like, I mean, there's exceptions. Like, you don't want to take some last-minute fight with some nobody promotion that's not going to do anything for your career. You have to be big picture too. But, like, realistically, if LFA, PFL, Bellator, if I'm leaving it out, there's so many, organizations that aren't UFC, you know what I mean? But they're still good organizations. If Invicta hit up a female fighter, like if they called you and offered you a fight, like you should be taking those fights. Like, even if it's not for the most money. So every opportunity to fight for another organization that has some name, some credibility, some following is a good thing. Like, you're not looking, remember, nobody gets into MMA going, and please, God, please, guys, don't fucking crucify me, okay? I love your shows. Just hear me out. Nobody goes in wanting to be this champion. Nobody goes in wanting to be this AAA market champion or this, other organization. And basically anybody that's not the UFC. It sounds shitty, but every fighter goes in it going, I'm going to be a UFC champion. They don't go in it thinking they're going to be the second place organization champion or this organization champion. Invicta being a close exception to the rule for the fact that they're a female-only organization that Shannon Knapp has built up to developing like the best and newest female fighter talent there is, and the UFC utilizes that too. That's where they get a lot of their fighters. So with the small exception of that, like I've seen chicks going, I want to be the Invicta champion. Well, yeah, but It's because that gets you into the UFC. So they all go in wanting to be the UFC champ. So I get that. You have to go in with that concept that they all want to get to that point. But it's you need to take last minute fights that are offered to you from other organizations because of the fact that it's a fight. First off, you're a fighter. And
You just have to hit somebody.
That fight that you do for that organization, majority of the time, they're probably streaming their shit on UFC Fight Pass anyway. So if you go in and you do your job and you treat it like it's a UFC level fight and you act accordingly, you may have a really good fight that ends up on Fight Pass that Silva sees or, you know, or Reed Harris sees or somebody sees, or even Dana White gets passed it on his phone like real quick. Hey, Dana, did you check out this fucking fight real quick? Dude, that's all it takes. You know, I've been on the prelims and my fight was just, our fight was so good. I hate saying my fight because it's not my fight. It's me and the other fighters' fight. It's our fight was so good that I get a call from Shelby going, hey, heads up, dude, check out the pay-per-view. You got bumped. So every fight could be that fight that gets you into the UFC. So why not take it? I've seen so many fighters like, oh, I got a last minute phone call. What are you sitting around waiting for? You know, you're getting older, not younger.
Exactly. And you got people dying and dreaming of getting a last minute phone call. That's why ready. I mean, Cole, when I go cover these events, honestly, I take an extra time with me every single time. Just in case one of these commentators or somebody gets a sore throat, I'm ready to go.
Somebody's going to see you sitting ringside.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're going to go, oh, hey, there's fucking Ortiz. Go grab him real quick. He'll do it.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that, man. So I come with my tie and my homework. Let's rock and roll, man.
You know, it never hurts when you're going to a card. It never hurts to like shoot the promoter or someone a text me like, hey man, just want to come up. Say, hey, I'm coming up to cover your guys' show.
Exactly.
I'm super excited for this. Just want to give you a heads up. Anything special you want me to know about it beforehand, you know, just butter him up. Absolutely. But then at the end of the day, if he does lose a guy, he's going to know. He's going to be like, hey, dude, I know Richard is here covering this. Can someone go see if they can find Rich on the media side real quick? See if he's available right now or if he's busy. You know, that can happen. You know?
Can.
So, I mean, it is what it now. I mean, armchair quarterbacks, this applies to you guys too. I've seen promoters go, who wants to fight? You know, it's one of those lower level fights or something where they're like short a fight and they're like, hey, we're on Indian land. Who doesn't fucking care? What athletic commission? Who? You know, so, you know, it just always be ready, you know?
No, exactly. And you know what? And respect the craft. Respect yourself, especially walk around and treat yourself like a professional.
Yeah. You know,
being that.
But yeah, it's last minutes they're a blessing and a nightmare. That's the easiest thing, man. They're a gamble. They're a gamble. Always a fucking gamble.
Well, it's not a gamble unless you accept it. So if you don't even throw your dice out there, then it's nothing.
But I mean, if you're always ready, you're always ready. Yeah. So it's not really a gamble, but like it's a gamble, I think, in the sense of like, you didn't have a camp to prepare for this guy. You just got to pull it out of the fucking bag and be like, okay, so we don't really have a game plan for this guy. It's like 5 days notice. But remember, you're a fucking fighter.
Exactly.
Just go in there and fight him. Like, at the end of the day, dude, you both start on your feet. You go in there and fucking punch him. Exactly. At the end of the day, it's just when you get those high-level guys that are last minute, it's like, hey, dude, you want to fight Max Holloway on like 5 days notice? Not really. Not that I would turn the fight down, but if I was on the same level caliber of skill, which I know I'm not a Max Holloway level guy, but like if you were up there and they called you, it's a risk because if you're down here and they call you, fuck yeah, opportunity central. But if you're like right here and they sell you last minute, that's like, dude, that's gambling. Because now you could really fuck your
what would you call Nate Diaz when they called him a week and a half to take on Conor McGregor? What would you call that? He literally took a shot before he answered that phone call.
I would say, well, okay, full disclosure, the Diaz boys are like a separate beast when it comes to like last minute shit. They'll fucking fight anybody. They don't give a fuck. If I had to pick guys in a bar fight, I'm taking the Diaz brothers with me. I don't care if they've lost 4 in a row or something. They're coming with me into that bar fight, dude. Yeah. So with him, it's like, I think it's an opportunity it's a gamble because you're fighting a guy like Conor McGregor, but at the same time, you're a Diaz brother. You got that level of don't give a fuck that levels the playing field because at the end of the day, they're scrappers. Like not a lot of guys. There's fighters. There's MMA fighters. There's guys that will always take an MMA fight. But at the end of the day, there's just those guys I just don't think they're as scrappy as the Diaz brothers. The Diaz brothers are down for it whenever.
They're willing to take to give big time.
Exactly.
Big time.
They don't think you can knock them out. They'll let you punch them so they can hit you.
Absolutely, until you get tired, and then to put you to sleep. I want to get back on Alex here. I want to talk about the time that we had him in the studio. Cole, when we had him in the studio, I was very impressed with his knowledge of MMA, of the fighters today. He did his research on everybody in his division in the top 10, as if to say, at any given time, I may get the call to fight any one of these guys, because he mentioned 3 or 4 different fighters that were in his weight class, and he didn't just talk about it. He had the knowledge and the tools, as if even to be a commentator. I was most impressed with his knowledge for the sport. A lot of times fighters, they don't keep up with the sport. They just stay in their lane. But that's something that sticks with me. Now that going into that fight this Saturday, how do you see the fight going? And do you see it going to the second half of the fight? Or is it more I'm rooting and I'm hoping?
No, I mean, I'm not even really hoping. I'm rooting. Like, I'm not so much, like I said, I am very confident that Alex has the tools to beat this guy and finish him. So I think going in, I think Alex will probably come out the gate. And like, this is just my personal opinion, guys. Don't take it with a grain of salt. But I would see him to come out patient but aggressive. Like, he will come and meet him in the center of the ring or on his side of the ring just to put the pressure on him. Not because he wants to be aggressive, but because he knows by putting pressure on him, Alex can get Figueroa to bite, to engage, and it'll give them an immediate feeling of where is he at? What kind of fight is he going to be? You know, it's like playing a video game with multiple characters on the same team. You almost kind of have to go based on what the first guy picks. If the first guy picks an aggressive player that's real mobile, well, then you need to either pick an aggressive mobile player or somebody that has a good, like, a support ability. Like, they have the ability to heal you real fast, because you're going to go in there and get aggressive. You're going through doors. So the same thing, you have to go based on what they give you right out the gate if they put pressure on you. So if Alex goes out and put pressure on him, right away, we're going to get to see what Figueroa is going to do. Like, right away, whatever Fig's going to do, we're going to know right out the gate. He's going to engage with him. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to try to beat him to the center of the ring. I think Alex will utilize the fact that his wrestling is probably better than his opponent's, so he'll have a better chance of dictating where the fight goes, you know, which is going to be a key factor too in trying to avoid a decision. You know, if you're losing the stand-up, you need to bring him down so your strength is the ground. Well, then you need to have the ability to do that. If your wrestling isn't strong, you're not going to be able to do that. Alex's wrestling is really solid, fucking super solid. So that will give him, I think, that advantage versus he's fighting a guy that is good on his feet and good on the ground. Yeah. But I don't think he has so much as far as a dictating power. I don't think Fig's going to be able to really dictate where that goes. If Alex just starts dotting him the fuck up on his feet,
Alex got pop. Alex got pop if he touches you.
Exactly, dude. He's got jab, pop, everything.
And just like we mentioned Bud Crawford today, which I want to comment on, he's a great finisher. And I wanted to let Ernesto know, because he talked about Bud Crawford, how he's able to put people away, different fighters. These fighters don't know Bud Crawford is setting traps. And they're falling into it. He'll give a round and a half or a flurry away just to set a trap where the fighter's exposed. Before you know it, you're catching a left hook. Now, I'm going to move on from that, because I do want to talk about, there's 2 things I want to cover before we go. We only got a few minutes left. So is it you made contact with Team Puedes and you're able to get that one-on-one before he enters the cage this Saturday?
Unfortunately, no. He kind of has this cutoff point where he doesn't do anything that the UFC is not basically telling him, you have to go and do this. Okay. He hit that point where he's got his camp set to where he's just, once we hit this point, we're only doing this.
That's understandable.
We talked shortly real quick. He's focused. He's ready. He's really keeping what his focus on is very, very limited right now. Like, he's just, all I'm worrying about is this fucking cat and making sure we're on point this week, making sure that we acclimate, we transition, we stay healthy. The bubbles, you know, there's that thing too. They want to stay in the bubbles. They don't want to fuck anything up. Yeah. You know, so it's just, I've seen some guys do that. They'll avoid interviews, because at that point, they in their mind, they're taking focus off of what the job is at hand. They don't want to deal with any of the media stuff. They don't want to deal with any of the stuff. They're just, what are we here for?
Very understandable. And like I said before, I don't want to be that speed bump that says, hey, you threw me off. But at 10:01 p.m. when they announce and new, make sure you send that text out there. Reach out.
I will be. Trust me. Saturday night, I will be gladly being one of the first people to shoot Alex a text. He'll have 1,000 when he comes back to the phone, but he's gonna have like 10 for me going, "Hey, congrats! When can we get that fucking interview? When can we get you in the belt? What do I got to do? Do I have to come out to Lemoore? What do we have to do?" So, but we love Alex. Alex knows we love him, and it'll just be a matter of just getting in his ear and just finding time that fits his schedule for when he comes back. Say, "Hey, when are you comfortable doing things? When do you want to talk about it?" Because everybody and their fucking grandma is going to be bugging him for interviews.
Absolutely, and very understandable. But I'm glad he recognizes us and respects our platform. Very nice, intelligent, and down-to-earth guy. Very giving as well. Before we go in 2 minutes, Cole, I got to talk about, this week, Bob Arum himself had one of the biggest sound bites. They basically asked him, he was on the other end of a decision. He let the Las Vegas association let him know that, hey, he wasn't pleased with the decision and how it went. And one of the commentators, he said, "Well, how do you fix this?" And I'm going to go ahead and quote him. He said, basically, he goes, "You get the fuck out of Vegas." He said that. So that was a great soundbite for him. But he seems to be in the news, man. We were off camera. We were talking about his name being brought up to the one and only Dana White, man. Talk to us about that comment he made, and how do you think Dana really feels about him, man?
All right. Dana has zero love lost for Arum. He called. These are not my words.
Yeah, well, that's what I said too. I quoted.
But I'm quoting Dana. "Fuck Bob Arum. That guy's a bitch. I'm out." And just mic dropped and left the contenders post. So he's mad from a sense that he doesn't personally dislike Bob on the sense that he just hates the guy. He personally hates him. Don't get me wrong.
He said he hates his guts.
Yeah, he hates his fucking guts. But it's more of a sense of how he feels he's disrespecting the fighters by saying shit like,
yes,
oh, I could have built a fucking house in Malibu with the money I lost on him. Dude, your money problems are your fucking problems. It's not the fighter's problem that you didn't promote the fight correctly enough to get people.
Exactly. And I do want to clarify real quick. Dana White's comment was based on the comment Bob Arum made about the fighter.
Exactly. And it was based pretty much on that comment about, then granted, UFC's not ever been known for being the fucking best at paying its fighters either. Right. But when he says that he's not happy with the performance and he's wasting money, well, at the end of the day, that's basically saying this fighter's never done anything for you in your organization. Wrong. They're the ones that people are showing up to see and fight. Yeah, you're in COVID era, you're in a bubble era, it's harder, but at the same time, you can't just rely on the fighter. They're doing their job already. They're fighting. They're putting on a show as a fight. If you can't promote that right and you can't find a way to get your marketing team behind it and get dashes and seats or whatever the problem was, that's on you. You're the promoter. The fighter's job is to show up and fight. It's not even the fighter's job to do interviews and promote it and brand it and all that shit. I've seen some promoters, like maybe on like the camo level and stuff, where they're like, "Hey, you get a percentage of seats. It's your job to build your brand right now. You're in the amateur circuit. You need to build your brand. You need to put butts in seats. Get your following. Get your peeps out here. Get that fan base. Get those fucking seats sold. I can get that. You're building a brand early in your career. But at this level, it's like, dude, his job is to just fucking show up and beat a motherfucker up. It's your job. That's why it's called the promoter.
Yeah.
So I can feel for Bob. It's an odd era to be in. It's a hard era to be in. It's a hard era to work in. Nobody knows what's happening day to day as far as we can put asses in seats or if it's all got to be digital and virtual. I understand that, but you can't make your fighters feel like it's their job to promote the fight. You're asking too much of them. At that level, you're asking too much. Their job is to show up and be ready and put on a fight for you and make it the best entertaining fight they can. If you're asking any more of them at that level,
you can't ask them, you can't give them any more responsibility. They got a responsibility, make weight and show up the day of the fight.
Exactly.
That's it. And
make
that's
weight
it.
Fight.
Yeah, make weight, fight. And then he did his job. You give them anything else, they become a distraction.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Yeah, you're causing distractions.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you got champions that are out there fucking doing glad hand mall appearances and shit, and they're promoting the fight stuff, and then they fucking lose. Why? Because they were busy kissing fucking babies and shaking hands at your mall appearances because you couldn't sell the fucking fight.
Exactly.
So that's where I feel Dana White's coming from, and to put it on Crawford like that, I feel he took that as a personal disrespect to fighters in general of saying you can't lay that on their shoulders. Crawford went out there and did a job, and I'm not even sure what the whole thing was about. I don't even know why he was pissed, but I do agree with Bob, though, and closing on this, though, I do agree with Bob that, yes, if you do not want to fall victim to the decision demon, you have to have fights outside of Vegas. Vegas is where all the money is.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. In closing, I want to give a quick shout out to my man SHELLY, man. I mean, he's holding down the Fighters Voice down in Stockton, California. He has 2 uploads already that he shot himself, recognizing the Fighters Voice, pushing it, more videos out there, more content for us, and that's exactly what we need. And one thing I do want to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the show with Andy Ruiz, I suggest you go back, go to our YouTube, www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. Andy Ruiz Jr. I mean, it was a great interview. I say that because he made it great. And also, if you missed last night's episode, man, I mean, talk about entertainment. We had Joshua, the Professor Franco on there, along with his manager, Rick Meridian, and later on joined with Top Rank's own media director, and that's Evan Korn. It was great for entertainment. It was great for the sport. So if you have a chance, go back there. We appreciate your viewership, and we appreciate all the subscribers out there. Lotto's Boxing, appreciate the support you've been doing out there. I appreciate that. And Kilo the Kid, man, I appreciate that comment, man. So, you know, I can't recognize everybody, but I do recognize people that are grinding for the Fighters Voice. Again, SHELLY, man, as we speak, he's out there getting some content. And, you know, let us know what we got going on for next week. Do we got Blake coming in? Are we going to be able to get a soundbite? People have been blowing me up asking me. So I know it's going to be very tough week of, but what can we expect before we close?
Right now I have I wish I had a better direct answer for you.
Okay.
I don't have a solid on that. We were dealing with some other concerns this week as far as when I brought up the question about the interview. There was some potential COVID concerns going on surrounding the fight, not the event, but that particular fight.
Okay.
But those have been squared away. Those are no longer concerns. So we will see where we're at on that, and we will do everything we can to get him on before this huge pay-per-view he's got coming up.
Right. Well, I mean, last week we had the co-main event, and it was Joshua the Professor Franco, along with the former champion who was Andrew Maloney. And next week, I'm not sure if he's going to come on Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to find out. But he's calling in all the way from Australia. So that's going to be a great show from down under. And we appreciate all the viewers and fans. And we also got Bomac, who we've been making contact with, who's the trainer of Bud Crawford, and also Jamal Herring, who's we've had on the show before. And, the show is starting to get what we started to get. And it's starting to be what we wanted it to be from day one. And in closing, Cody, do you have anything else for us?
We might be seeing a 30-0.
Okay.
That Dana White was talking about some things. Khabib recently tested with USADA. Why the fuck are you testing with USADA if you ain't trying to stay in the eligibility pool? So we may be leaning more towards seeing a 30-0 than we originally might have thought. I still think that maybe not, but man, I think the door is now open for him to say that, look, I promised my mom this or that, or my dad always wanted me to get. I don't fucking know what they're going to come up with, but Dana White is like so confident and adamant that we're going to see a 30-0 that he almost feels insulted when people bring up the question outside of the fact of, and everything. So will we see Khabib really fight again? He's like, look, motherfuckers, he gets tested with USADA. Why the fuck would you test with USADA if you don't want to stay in the pool? So there's a very good chance we're going to see a 30-0.
Writings on the wall.
Yeah, very high potential.
And I respect the whole reasoning, but as a fan, I'm selfish just like everybody else. We want to see Superman again, before he just leaves and gets taken over by kryptonite or whatever. I can see the conversation. Me and my mom, we came to an agreement. I can't speak for the man, and I know it's very tough and sensitive right now. But at the end of the day, the guy is a monster and a beast. And it's hard to just turn that switch completely off. It
is really, really hard. And I mean, I never even achieved the level of godlike that he's achieved. And I know how hard it is to turn something like that off. So I can only fathom what it's like for guys like him, or a guy like Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Frank Mears, guys that it was their life. So for him, he's achieved like the highest level in a sport, as far as our sport's concerned, that you can get. Like,
absolutely.
you can't just. That's really hard to walk away. It'd be one thing if he was like maybe 5 to 6 years older, and it'd be easier to walk away at that point. But dude, he's in the most fucking prime position of his life to do it and maximize it. But hey,
and they're not even close, and his fights aren't even close.
Yeah, so, they're not even fucking close. No one's even questioning the validity of the wins. They're just like, stop killing people.
Exactly. Well, hey, man, I'm your host, Rich Ortiz with the Fighter's Voice, Escovedo. See you guys next Tuesday. Okay, Pete, one hell of a job. We're going to be coming back next week with some big names, man. And once you're at that level of names, you don't want to go move backwards. You want to continue to move forward. Alex, we're rooting for you. And we call things as if they're not, as if they are. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear in new. That's what we want to hear this weekend. Hey, it's a wrap here. Rich Ortiz, Escovedo. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember.
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.